Hi, everyone. Okay, it's 6:18, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, that works. Okay. We're really excited because we have a great class today. Unfortunately, Professor Rosenzweig can't be here, but we are very, very lucky to have Alice Waters here with us, and she's going to step up and lead the class today, so let's give her a round of applause for doing that for us. As you guys know, this is a technology-free class, so please tuck away your laptops and phones. Now on to attendance. A club from nowhere, Freelines, Woolsworth Cafe, Lunch Counter, and Sanctuary Restaurants all, A, serve delicious pie, B, are used as a tool for social change, C, were or are women run and operated, D, raised and raise money for legal costs. We'll give you guys a few more seconds. Your answers are the correct answer, B. Okay. Last week, we were really lucky to have Gary Hirschberg from Stony Brook Farms and Paul Shapiro from the Humane Society with us. And this week, we are extremely lucky to have Davia Nelson from the Kitchen Sisters and Sue Connolly and Peggy Smith from Cowgirl Creamery. And with that, I'll introduce Alice, who will come in and introduce them.
Thank you, Gladys. Thank you. Can you hear me back there? Good? It's good. Well, I'm really excited to introduce to you the guests tonight because they're all very good friends of mine. And they've helped shape the way that we think about food, what we eat, how we eat it, and where we get it. And they have had a tremendous impact on the Bay Area as well as way beyond. And this is really an exceptional group of women. The Kitchen Sisters are Davia Nelson and Nikki Silva. And unfortunately, Nikki can't be with us, but we have Davia here. And they are the producers of the DuPont Columbia and James Beard award-winning series, and it's called Hidden Kitchens. You can hear it on NPR's Morning Edition. They have made two Peabody Award-winning NPR series, Lost and Found Sound and the Sonic Memorial Project. Their podcast, The Kitchen Sisters Presents, is the Radiotopia Collective from PRX. The Kitchen Sisters are also producing The Hidden World of Girls, heard on NPR, and it's hosted by Tina Fey. Their latest season of Hidden Kitchens is called Kimchi Diplomacy, War and Peace and Food, and it's for Morning Edition, and it just received the 2017 James Beard nomination. They are currently working on a book called Show the Girls the Snakes. Debbie, you'll have to tell us about that one. And also their first Broadway musical, if you can imagine. So the Kitchen Sisters have taught at UC Berkeley in the Graduate School of Journalism, and they've done presentations and workshops at universities all around the world and radio stations. And their newest NPR series is called The Keepers. And they're stories of activists and archivists and rogue librarians, collectors, and curators. And it's going to premiere on NPR this fall. It's a beautiful idea. Following Davia's presentation, we're going to hear from Sue Conley and from Peggy Smith. And they're going to be interviewing here, and hopefully we'll answer all your questions as well. But they are the owners of the Cowgirl Creamery. And Sue Conley moved to San Francisco in 1967. And she first began working in the kitchens, including 4th Street Grill. She worked with Paul Bertoli. And for 11 years, Sue co-owned Betty's Oceanville Diner down on 4th Street before she moved to Point Reyes Station in the early 90s. And it was there that she met Helen Strauss, the matriarch of the Strauss Family Creamery. And inspired by Helen and her family, she decided to sell her shares in Betty's Oceanview Diner. And she found herself a place in West Marin's growing dairy and organic farm community. Sue's dear friend, Peggy, decided to join her, and the Cowgirl Creamery was born. Now, Peggy Smith moved to San Francisco in 1976 too, and she started to cook. And I heard that she submitted her resume a dozen times to Chez Panisse, and I'm embarrassed to say, before we hired her. But she worked upstairs in the cafe when we first started it in 1980, doing everything, and ended up running it for 17 years. 17 years she worked at Chez Panisse. And that's where she found her interest in artisanal cheeses and cheese making. And when Sue asked her to consider joining her to open the creamery in Point Reyes, Peggy agreed. A marriage made in heaven. And over the 2 decades, the Cowgirl's cheeses have won literally dozens of awards. The business has grown to include 2 creameries, 4 retail stores, and the distribution to more than 500 other stores, independent cheese shops, farmers markets, and restaurants. And I couldn't be more pleased to have them share their incredible stories here on stage. So please begin with you, Davia. Welcome.
Thank you, Alice, and good evening, everybody. How many of you have tasted Cowgirl Creamery cheeses? A lot of you. Well, that's, for those of you that haven't, that's all going to change tonight because Sue and Peggy brought Cowgirl Creamery cheese, so when the evening is closed, we'll all be having cheese. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here tonight with Peggy and with Sue Conley of Cowgirl Creamery with Alice. Peggy and Sue, 2 friends who met in college in the 70s, drove a hippie van to California and began lives that put them at the center of the burgeoning food movement that was beginning in Northern California and across the nation. At that same moment in time, the public radio movement was also just beginning to explode. NPR, community radio, college radio, and Nikki Silva and I, 2 young quasi-hippies who had just graduated from UC Santa Cruz, met and began making public radio together. We've been doing so for some 30 years now, collaborating with each other and with other radio producers and with public radio stations, our podcast collective Radiotopia, and with listeners around the world. Collaboration is at the heart of our work and our business. And as Alice mentioned, Nikki regrets she can't be here tonight. I'm going to play a few excerpts from some of our stories from the NPR series Hidden Kitchens. stories about secret, unexpected, below-the-radar cooking, how communities come together through food. When we began the series, we opened up a phone line on NPR, and we asked the nation to call in and tell us about their local kitchen pioneers and visionaries, food rituals and traditions that were endangered and on the verge of extinction, about the people who glue their communities together through food. Some 2,789 minutes of messages came in to the phone line, filling some 36 CDs. In thinking about what to play tonight, I chose stories where a business, even a tiny economy, is part of the story. Here's an excerpt from one. It's called An Unexpected Kitchen, the George Foreman Grill.
Message 23 was received at 1:10 p.m. today.
I'm Margaret Engel, a woman who works for Legal Aid, who's talking to me about how many of her clients get dinner. The people who struggle to even get food on the table because they don't have an official kitchen and who are using George Foreman grills and the like. The George Foreman grill has been an amazing success story as a kitchen appliance, but what I think many people don't realize is that immigrants and low-income people have contributed to that popularity. That is, to me, the epitome of the hidden kitchen.
Wow, what a wonderful story. I'd never considered it at all. I'm George Foreman, two-time heavyweight champion of the world, former Olympic champion, and king of the grills. Growing up in Houston, Texas, my whole life was spent trying to get enough to eat. Having 7 kids, my mother did, and there just was never enough food for me. I always dreamed about not a car, not a beautiful home, but enough to eat.
My name Piggly Wiggly. I've got groceries on my shelf.
My name is Jeffrey Newton, Chicago. I'm a great cook, a trait that I had learned from my grandmother, but I just haven't had a kitchen. I'm living in a shelter at this particular time, but I've been homeless all my life. I lived under Wacker Drive, where the expressway goes through, and there's about 30 or 40 refrigerator boxes down there. That's going to be your home. I would get a George Foreman grill. That's the grill that I had for a while under Wacker Drive, me and a fellow by the name of Smokey. So you just get your long extension cord. They got a lot of electrical plugs on the poles down there, and just hook up. We was making hamburgers and grilled cheese sandwiches, because we used to take an iron and do that too. Press down, your bread and your cheese.
My name is Pat Sherman, and I'm the program coordinator of the Walk-In Center here at Glide, San Francisco. When I was in these single-room occupancies, I couldn't cook in my room. Well, legally I couldn't. I'd get me a big bowl, put me some ice in it, and voila, that became my refrigerator. Microwaves, toaster ovens, hidden under the bed or in the closet. The George Foreman grill, that's the newest thing. Doesn't set off the smoke detectors. And since they come in colors, it just looks like you're getting real fancy in your room and decorating. And it looks like you have a nice tabletop to the visible eye, but it's your kitchen.
It's a special TV offer from the king of the grill, George Foreman.
My lean, mean, fat-reducing grilling machine.
I grew up in Houston, Texas, in the Fifth Ward area. Every day at lunch during the summer days, you'd hear the parents call the kids in. They would just tell me, okay, go home and eat your lunch. And these people knew I had no food at home. And I'd peep through the window at the kids eating, and the parents would peel the crust off the bread, and I would sit there and just hope they would just throw it out the window for me. Going to school, you go through the lunch line, 26 cents. I couldn't afford that. And I'd sit at the table, and it was so embarrassing. So what I would do, I'd get a greasy bag, blow it up on the way to school to make it look like there was a sandwich in it. Then I'd get to my classroom and say, boy, I ate my lunch. And I learned to disguise my not having food.
When you're homeless, you have to find out all these things, It's called trailblazing. You got to blaze the trail, A lot of times we went into the hospitals, it was either to sleep or to use the microwave. Go in, I'm coughing, and when they call your name, you don't answer. And you got a band around your wrist. So now...
Pretend there are elegant fades at the end of everything I play today, please. That goes on. In the end of that story, it's so amazing George Foreman opened up these sports centers in Houston to have a place for kids to come do athletics. And when we talked to him about it, he said, well, yeah, I want them to learn how to box. I want them to learn how to do athletics, but really, I wanted to know that there was a place they would be fed. And so that's why I opened the sports center. And Alice Waters, you can imagine what a boxing fan Alice Waters is. She said, I never thought I would have anything in common with George Foreman, but we both want to make sure children eat. How many of you are thinking about any kind of food journalism or journalism? Is that something that's in the mind of any of you? Well, and even so much of business is storytelling, isn't it? So as I go, I'm just going to throw in a couple of tips about food storytelling. One of the tips we have, or sayings we have, is put a face on it. When you try and talk about issues like hunger and homelessness, it's so hard to hold people's attention. They're on overload already. But put Jeffrey Newton on a beat-up George Foreman grill under the overpass, and you can pull people into a story about tough issues that they might otherwise not listen to. We've really learned that over the years. As Alice mentioned, our most recent series is called Hidden Kitchens, Kimchi, Diplomacy, War and Peace, and Food, and it's a collection of global stories about conflicts where traditional politics and diplomacy have failed and where food has played a role in helping resolve the conflict, or not. So here's an excerpt. This story chronicles the hummus wars between Lebanon and Israel and the Palestinians. We call it Operation Hummus. Again, just an excerpt.
My name is Fadi Aboud, born in Lebanon. I served as Minister for Tourism. I am the one who led Lebanon to break the Guinness Book of Records by making the largest tub of hummus in the world.
We want the whole world to know that hummus and tabbouleh are Lebanese.
At the time, a group of us came from a food exhibition in France. Suddenly, they were telling us hummus is an Israeli traditional dish. I mean, the world now thinks that Israel invented hummus. I was rather upset, and I thought the best way to tell the world that hummus is Lebanese is to break the Guinness Book of Records.
To award a new Guinness World Record.
It was a big issue all over the news that hummus only Lebanese. They say no, hummus for everybody. My name is Jawdat Ibrahim. We're in Abu Ghosh restaurant in Abu Ghosh village between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. I came with the idea. We're going to break our Guinness World Record.
In the town of Abu Ghosh this morning, Israel retook the title for the world's largest hummus dish, weighing 4 tons, scooped into a satellite dish.
Media came here and over 50 TV channels all over the world, more than Obama visited in any country.
The Lebanese, they're already planning a counterattack.
We call it the hummus wars, when Lebanon accused the Israeli people of trying to steal the hummus and make it their national dish. Hummus became a symbol. My name is Rosenzweig. I'm a food journalist about the culture of food here in Israel. I live in Tel Aviv. In Israel, we don't have a strong food tradition. This place only exists 60 years. You don't have specific dishes which can be common ground for all the Israelis. So hummus became a common ground. Palestinians also made hummus, the symbol that we didn't only take their lands, we take their food as well and make it ours.
The hummus is ours. They take our hummus and they make it their tradition. My name is Nuha Musleh, and I'm a Palestinian. I work with journalists. I'm a fixer. People run to get hummus when they're in Ramallah. It's like getting a good pizza downtown Rome, or getting a good T-bone steak in Texas. I imagine. I haven't been.
That goes on. And sadly, Israel and Lebanon are still at each other's throats over hummus and so much more. And yet, I think, just having been in the Middle East, I do think food will play a really significant role in somehow people finding what they have in common. Some people look at a pie and see pie, and some people look at a pie and see a weapon for social change. That was Georgia Gilmore. And here's a little excerpt. Have any of you heard this story already? Did you listen to it did you all hear it, or you all heard it? Well, do you want to hear it again, or should we just move right on to the dairy world? I know when I saw that question, maybe if you did hear it, I think, so someone just encapsulate the story for us who did hear it, just for those who didn't. Take a minute and just describe that story, whoever would like to. Brave souls.
You can get the mic. Whoever wants it.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you I'll give you just the opening phone message. Again, that idea of saying, we have another one of our sayings is say everything out loud, tell everyone what you're working on. It will help you bring the thing that you're working on into being so much sooner than if you hold on to it. And this story came to us because we did that big ask on NPR for people to tell us their hidden kitchens. So let's just take it from the top and then we'll move on to our last story.
You have 52 new messages.
Hey, my name's John T. Edge, and I live down in Oxford, Mississippi, and direct the Southern Foodways Alliance. There's a woman y'all need to know about. Her name's Georgia Gilmore. She was a cook in the 1950s in Montgomery, Alabama. And when I think of hidden kitchens, I think about the story of her backdoor restaurant, her secret kitchen that fueled the civil rights movement.
Hey, how you doing? You live on the street. Do you know where Miss Gilmore used to stay?
Yeah, Miss Georgia Gilmore. That's Miss Gilmore's house down there. You see that marker down there, that historical marker?
Oh, yeah, I see it now. You see the plaque in the yard?
George Teresa Gilmore. I'm her son, Councilman Mark Gilmore, Jr.
Georgia Gilmore.
She could cook.
1920, 1990.
She was a stone cook.
Her food was cooked on the mama level. And Georgia was like Big Mama. Southern type mamas. Maybe 10 or 15 of them.
Now, my mother at the time was a midwife by profession. She cooked at National Lunch Company in Montgomery when the movement started. When Mrs. Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat in 1955. Mama got involved in the bus boycott.
She lost her job because management learned of her being a part of this movement that was going on. My name is Johnny Rebecca Carr, and I am the 5th president of the Montgomery Improvement Association.
Stop that Alabama bus, I don't wanna ride.
During the bus boycott, City of Montgomery brought suit against King and 90 other members of the Montgomery Improvement Association in March of 1956. They were claiming that the bus boycott was an unlawful conspiracy. Georgia Gilmore testified in court. She, in essence, called out this bus driver who had kicked her off a bus. When Miss Gilmore stood up in court, she got fired.
You cannot be afraid if you want to accomplish anything. You got to have the willing, the spirit, and above all, you got to have the get up.
Everybody could tell you Georgia Gilmore didn't take no junk. I'm Reverend Al Dixon. If you pushed her too far, she'd say a few bad words, and if you pushed her any further, she'd hit you.
She was swift on her feet.
She was swift on her feet. Anyway, there's so much more to say about Georgia Gilmore and people like her. Mission-driven social entrepreneurs, small business people, kitchen visionaries, people who elect themselves to lead and feed their communities and are part of the rising food movement. Their stories are legion and riveting. I found this last story I'm going to play. Let me just move to it. I found this last story I'm going to play while at a meeting hidden up in the mountains outside of Turin at the Slow Food Terra Madre Conference of 2004. Gathered in this room up in the mountains were cheesemakers from around the world who had some way been criminalized or were facing legal action for making cheese using traditional methods, aging cheese in caves, as cheesemakers had done for hundreds of years before them, or for selling certain kinds of raw milk cheese, or the gathered cheesemakers were coming up with strategies for how to face new constrictive EU regulations. I listened to Debbie Apple, a dairy rancher and cheesemaker from the Midwest, as she told her story, and I followed her back from Italy to Indiana with my tape recorder. Here's a small excerpt from her story, Milk Cow Blues.
Milk Cow Blues, a journey into the mysterious and controversial world of raw milk.
My name is Frederick Kaufman, author of the upcoming book, A Short History of the American Stomach. I infiltrated a raw milk cup. It was a cold evening in Hell's Kitchen in a basement of a large apartment house. The Mennonite farmers had already arrived with their big cold packs full of their raw milk. You had housewives, computer programmers, avant-garde musicians, little girls in princess costumes lined up waiting to get their shipment. It's kind of like the old Prohibition era stories because the Mennonite farmer, the man who's delivering the goods, cannot drive them himself across state lines. When I got there, they were actually discussing the payoff to the driver. In order to purchase raw milk in New York City, you have to go through the same kind of legal finesse as you do in Indiana. You have to sign a contract which says, I already own a cow or I already own milk that you are then processing for me. They're on a very fine legal line.
The Apple Family Farm and the Indiana Cow Share Association.
My name is Debbie Apple. I am a farmer and farmer's wife. We live in McCordsville, Indiana. We are farming my husband's family farm. It kind of happened to us rather than us really planning. We started with the sheep and chickens to cattle, bought a milk cow for ourselves, and found that there was a demand for milk that was unpasteurized.
Come in, Tommy.
Well, I woke up this morning.
Yes.
And I looked outdoors.
Outside, you mean?
I could tell my milk cow, I could tell by the way she looked.
Tell me more.
If you see my milk cow, ooh, drive her on home.
It didn't take very long before people started realizing that we had a dairy cow. I remember being at a meeting one night and one lady said, do you have a dairy cow? And everybody just started talking at once, just saying, can we get milk from you? Can we get milk? And they had all read a book called What the Bible Has to Say About Healthy Living and the health benefits of raw milk. The next morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, 3 of those women were here. They had their glass jars. We didn't know at the time that it was illegal for us to give away raw milk.
We have dairy cattle, beef cattle, sheep, chickens. My name is Mark Apple. This is our milking herd. It's 12 milk cows. A breed called Dutch Belted, imported in the 1800s by P.T. Barnum. We just milk once a day. It's important for them to relax. That's the purpose in having classical music playing, making sure that they're very relaxed.
We checked the laws. We could not trade it, sell it, deliver it. But there was a provision that if it's your own cow, you could drink the milk. And so we decided if these people wanted milk, they would have to buy the cow.
We have 2 cow shares, and I come every week to get my 2 gallons of milk, and I've got some eggs also.
We set up the Indiana Cow Share Association. We kind of figured out a boarding fee and what our costs were. We charge $50 for a share.
I'm buying some cheese, a couple pairs of knitting needles.
We have a store.
Elegant fade. 2 of the most pioneering people in cheese are here with us tonight. Please welcome to the stage cheesemakers, cheesemongers, and thought-provoking kitchen visionaries Sue Conley and Peggy Smith. Let's dive deep into the world of, wait a minute, where's our, there we go. I love this quote, cheese is milk's leap towards immortality. Let's dive deep into the world of Cowgirl Creamery. This on, thank you. So Alice was describing Sue, you were over a decade at Betty's Ocean View Diner. Peggy, 17 years at Chez Panisse and cooking in France and so many things. What made you decide to leave the kitchen and walk towards cheese?
Do you want me to start that, Peg? I do. Well, we did meet this, I moved to Point Reyes, as Alice said, and met this family that had inspired movement in me. Actually, Ellen Strauss was the matriarch of the family, and she was very involved in the environmental movement. And her son, Albert, inspired by his mother, decided to transition the dairy to organic. So that was a story that really got to me, and I was in this beautiful pastoral place. Peggy and I had been to France many times to cook at a wine trade show called Vin Expo, and had been introduced to the European way of cheese making, which was small batch, handmade, and really unique from farm to farm. So they told us the only way to make good cheese was to find a really great source of milk. And there we had this source with the Strausses. And that's when I called Peg to see if she wanted to come out and give cheese making a try.
Yeah, I just want to elaborate on that a little bit because, you know, we were really excited about the prospect of making cheese. And some people that used to come to Chez Panisse every year, Jean-Claude and Pascal Delos, would bring these fantastic cheeses from France that we really didn't have access to here. And we were talking about cheese making and what kind of cheese we would make, and they would both just kind of stop and stare at us and say, oh, wait a minute. What are the cows eating? And, you know, it gets back to the most important part about food, and that being the care that goes into every individual part of food, the grass, the soil. You know, it's what Alice has been really in the forefront for forever on, is just like, it's not just about the end product. It's about how the whole product comes about.
I was thinking about it because we're in spring now, and I was thinking, okay, you make seasonal cheeses, and I know you'll talk about that, but I was thinking, what's this week in milk? Like, what's the...
We'll save questions till the end so you can continue.
You know, that's something I didn't really think about until...
That's a good question. You know, I think about that a lot, actually. And one of the things that we're really proud of is working with a farm that really does care about their animals. And I know that we may have differences on how we see humane treatment being, where you're saying that the animals are pulled from the mother and later they're slaughtered. You know, I feel like there are different ways of doing animal husbandry. And one of the things that we're really in favor of the Strausses is the way that they do take care of their animals. Jennifer Bice, the way she takes care of her animals. I mean, it's actually one of the things we really look into before we decide to sell a cheese that somebody else makes. That's the first question we ask. It's like, how are the animals cared for? I can't answer your question exactly because I do like making cheese, and I do think that the way that the animals are treated is really humanely, and that the way that they're fed, the feed that they are giving is really a top quality feed. So I know that we'll have a difference of opinion on that, but what I can say is the people that we work with all take really good care of their animals.
And
question and answer section at the end, so you can continue your question at the end because let's just continue the program as it is. There's a question section at the end, and you can answer your questions then.
We're turning back to questions at the end, but you've just put lightning into the room, and that is really, okay, so now it's their turn to talk. You are exploiting the moment, my friend. It's really time to let them talk, okay? Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
All right. They're not business students. Okay.
Okay, well, I think that's the whole point here at UC Berkeley is that we're all going to have a big conversation about a whole lot of ideas, and there are so many controversies. So let's hear Cowgirl Creamery speak, and let's hear you all speak. I think it's not this moment in time to shut down speech. That is not what the society that we're all, that, my friend, is the I'm sorry, I have to say, you are so playing into the hands of the president we have right now. No, it's not your moment to speak. There will be your moment.
Because you know what? This is a conversation.
No.
The products of animals are sitting over here, and I just
Do you
want
know?
to bring up one thing.
No,
the dairy industry is based on animal exploitation. These animals are subject to so much pain. I want you to imagine just for one moment being born a cow. Imagine being born a cow. Imagine being forcefully impregnated over and over again.
Do you know what? If
imagine having your babies taken away from you time and time again.
Imagine hearing.
Whether it's a humane farm or whether it's a factory farm, it doesn't matter because as long as these animals are being exploited for their cheese, for their milk, they will never be in a place where they can enjoy their lives, they can enjoy their family, they can be with their babies. And I'm an investigator. I have been inside.
Do you know? I think you so owe your fellow students the respect of letting them come to a decision for themselves. It's time to.
This is a class. No, this is the question is at the end.
I want to ask.
The question section's at the end.
She's okay with me asking her a question.
This is a class. You guys are taking away from class.
Why don't you let them? Don't fear their ideas.
You know what? What would you say to the mothers who have their babies taken away from them?
You'll have time to ask that.
Why can't they answer that?
They will. They will. Why don't you give them a hearing? It's so abusive.
Okay, gang.
Where's George Foreman when you need him?
This is the moment we live in.
It's an icebreaker. Yeah.
I have the same thoughts sometimes. Why are we letting these people tell us that it's okay to do the same thing to animals? Cows get raped too. Just put them on the doesn't matter. That's wrong.
Okay, I think.
Animals do not want to die. Don't buy the humane line.
Animals do not want to die.
Don't buy the humane line.
Animals do not want to die.
Don't buy the humane line.
Animals do not want to die.
Don't buy the humane line.
Animals do not want to die.
Out of respect for our speakers, can you please say to the
Thank you. Out of respect to all the students. Show respect.
Don't buy the humane line.
You have a voice, but we don't want to hear you. Please take it somewhere else. Animals do not want to die. Animals do not want to die.
Thank you for your help.
So that brings up a question.
Or 20.
You know, it's interesting. We do have a lot of labels on the products that we make and we sell. Organic certification, humane treatment, non-GMO. There's 100 labels that can be put on food to give you some idea of how it's produced. And we work only with certified organic milk. And to me, it's kind of like the gay marriage argument, where if you're gay and you want to, be with a person, you have to make 100 contracts if you're not allowed to marry, to buy a house, to do your health care initiative, etc. If you're married, you have one contract. So organic certification is like that. It's that one symbol tells you how the animals are treated, what they're eating, because they have to be on pasture a certain number of days. They can't be treated with antibiotics, and they have to eat organic feed, no herbicides, no pesticides. It tells you all those things in one label.
So the mother cows are not forcibly impregnated?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so that is forcibly impregnated. Are there babies taken away from them?
Are you with the group? Because we've already heard these issues.
Can we allow our speakers to talk? We're going to have plenty of time for conversation. No one's trying to dodge the conversation at all. We are here. These women have taken on every controversy known to mankind. A room full of students, they came here to discuss all these issues with you. So now, I just think it's so sad to me. Can I just say something? You know what? All of you who are so talking about exploitation of animals have no respect for your colleagues. So I think you just need to please wait till the question period.
And we are talking about people who work for the civil rights movement, and this is amazing. LGBTQ equality. But why is nobody talking?
I know, can you just allow them to talk, and then we will talk about all of it.
We're talking about how animals were impregnated and their babies are taken away.
Can you please?
Cheese.
We asked very kindly originally.
I think
I'm sorry that it's considered rude.
Everything.
I'm sorry that I am being rude, and I acknowledge that. But it is time to be rude when other people's lives, the animals' lives, are not being respected. Okay, I'm gonna leave, and I hope that everyone, when you consider.
Bye. Okay, are there any more plants out there? All right.
Okay.
I think it's a legitimate thing to talk about, but let's move on. I
think so too. You have heard about Ellen Strauss and how her milk and her way of dairying was what inspired Sue, which is then what inspired them to cheese. So I just wanted you to get a chance to see them.
But there's a little bit more about Ellen Strauss. It's really an important thing. She started, along with Phyllis Faber, an organization called the Marin Agricultural Land Trust. And you all, I imagine, know what land trusts are. But this one was the first one in the United States that was put together to protect agricultural land. And at first, people were a little bit leery about the concept. The farmers were a little bit leery, but now, Sue, what's the count on Marin? We have about 70 ranches preserved, over half the farmland in Marin, and it still maintains ownership of the farmer, but they sell the development rights to us. And with that, the promise never to divide or build on the land. It has to stay in productive agriculture, even if the land is sold, so it goes with the deed. And that's why it's so pretty out there. You know, we have our parkland, but the ag land is really key to the rural economy in Marin and Sonoma, and the land trust has kept multiple generations of farmers on the land.
And it is one of the largest milk sheds in California, so yeah.
What was the state of dairy ranching and cheese making out in that area before malt and right in that moment? What was going on with those families out there at the time?
Well, the land was being sold off to development, and if you've ever been to Point Reyes, you know how beautiful and grand it is. But in the 70s, it was planned to be developed into golf courses and condominiums all around Drake's Bay with a 4-lane highway going up Highway 1. So the parklands took care of some of it, but not the east side of Tamales Bay. Dairies were going out of business rapidly, and that's when Ellen and Phyllis got this idea, you know, parks are great, but what about the farmers? Because the traditions go so far back, even to Europe. They all came from Italy, Portugal, England to settle this land, and so they didn't want to give it up, but they weren't making money.
Yeah, the price of milk really stagnated, and it was pretty much the same from the 70s. And just thinking about operating a business with the price of what you're selling remaining the same for 40 years, that's a hard thing to tackle. So I think that having these development rights and also moving into secondary products is kind of the movement that we were part of.
Yeah, so Ellen really thought, you know, the farmers have to be making something more valuable or they're going to give up. And cheese was the logical product.
Or transform into organic dairies. And now I think that out in Marin and Sonoma, is it 90% of the dairies?
Yeah, it's at least 80% in Marin, Sonoma, Humboldt County, and Mendocino County also, and all really good dairying. It's the grass, you know, these are grasslands. They're not forest lands that have been mowed down for grazing animals. It's kind of land built for grazing animals with lots of indigenous grasses, and it really helps to keep the soil aerated and fertile by having these animals graze on them.
Can you speak to that idea of grasses a bit more and kind of the cheese that you make and why you make what you make when you make it?
Yeah, well, we do make seasonal cheeses, but let me just get back to the milk, because milk's probably one of the most complex compounds in the world. And as the seasons change, so does what the cows are eating, and also their bodies change a little. In the winter here in Northern California, since we have that drought, you know, the grasses grow at different times. So in the winter, they don't have as much grass to eat, but then their meal gets there's additional feed that's given them that's really high in protein to keep them healthy during the winter. And when that happens, the components in the milk really change. And so when we're making cheese, we really have to recognize what the fat content is. In other words, like how much water is in the milk. So what solids are you going to get when you're making cheese, which is really important. So the flavors of the milk change also. So what we've done is, in order to show off the different flavors that the seasons represent, we have 4 different cheeses that we make for the 4 seasons. And the one we have right now is a cheese called St. Pat's. It's made with Jersey whole milk from John Taverna's farm. He has a farm with about 120 jerseys. And those generally are higher in, the milk from Jersey is higher in fat anyway. So we make a whole milk cheese, and the one that we're making in the spring is called St. Pat's. And what we do is we take stinging nettle leaves, which are practically the first vegetation that pops up, in the early spring, and we cover our cheese with that particular stinging nettle. And it showcases the green flavors that you get in milk in the spring if you were to drink milk that was not homogenized or blended, because probably most of you get milk that's blended so it always tastes the same, but milk doesn't always taste the same. It really changes. So spring we use the greenness from the stinging nettle. Sue, you want to talk a little more about milk or cheese?
The other thing about spring is we have trained cows to breed year-round. Sorry. But sheep, we haven't, but dairy farmers have. But sheep and goats only breed in the spring. And so that's why we have spring lamb. And that's why the first milk of spring for those two animals is the most delicious, bright, and complex. Also very difficult to make cheese because there's so much flora in the air that it interferes with the bacteria that you're promoting in the cheese making process. So this is a very exciting time for us this spring.
Good time, a good night to taste cheese is what I would say.
And it's a great time to have fresh cheese, from if you're at the farmer's market and you see these goat dairies or cow or sheep that are featuring a fresh cheese, now's your time to buy.
I wonder if you would talk for a moment, Alice was bringing it up earlier about your businesses. What exactly is Cowgirl Creamery? What is Tamales Bay Food? What's your business organization? How do you do your thing?
Well, our business organization is a little bit confusing to most people because it did itself grow organically. And when we bought this old barn in Point Reyes, and it was built in the 50s actually as a hay barn. And when we bought it, it had pigeons living in it and a dirt floor, and still hay was stacked in there. But the idea that we had was really to represent that area as its own little appellation of food production. Warren Weber, Star Route Farm, Warren Weber helped write the organic rules that are followed in, I think he started his farm in 72. Is that right, Alice? Maybe before that. Anyway, this guy was a stockbroker, and he bought some land in Bolinas and started this organic farm that was amazing. Then there was Nyman Shell that started with organic meats out there. All the dairy ranchers, lots of different small pocket organic farms were out there. And people from the Bay Area didn't really understand where all this great food was coming from, that there was this little gold mine of organic producers out there. And so what Sue and I were thinking was, why don't we showcase this fabulous milk that Albert Strauss has converted to organic, and we'll make fresh cheese, we'll have a little to-go counter and a produce stand, and it all represents what is grown out in West Marin area.
But as a business model, we never thought we could just sit out in Point Reyes and wait for people to come find us. They do find us now. Everybody knows to go there for good oysters and all sorts of things. But then it was pretty much off the radar. So when we made this cottage cheese and fresh cheese initially, we couldn't find distribution for it because we knew Alice would buy some and a few of our other friends, but it wasn't, and she did. And but how do we get it to her? So we had to buy a truck, and we went to all the farmers markets, and that was our first marketing effort to really be directly relating to our customers. And then we met more chefs, and then more chefs came out, and we decided that we needed to have a little store in the city, which we had seen in Paris, that the different regions would have their own store in Paris, their Dordogne, the Provence store, and they would only have the things of their place, which they were very proud of. And that's something we wanted, we wanted our community to be really proud of this cheese as if it were their own. And this is something we believe after 20 years we have accomplished. Anyway, that was always in our business plan. So in business school, you might call that a vertically integrated business. But we were doing all the work, all levels ourselves, pretty much.
But, I think, Davia, you said, maybe it was Alice or you, but I think one of the things that was most important for our business and still is, and for the businesses out there, is being collaborative and also being supportive, because the community that we're in out there, we all are proponents of all businesses. And all cheesemakers, we feel their cheese is just as important as our cheese in our selling and our distribution business. And people from Hog Island, we're friends. This community is so tight out there, but it's also really accepting of new people coming with new ideas, and everybody's really supportive. And I think that's one of the most important things in our business, is the collaboration with others and networking with a group of people that are like-minded, who really want to move this movement forward, where all people have access to good food.
And I think also this is something, because Alice is here, we can keep referencing back to Alice, but she was so stubborn about having, just being completely honest about the food, where it came from, but insisting on organic and insisting on a certain level of quality. So when we started bringing cheeses in, Peggy said, we can't have any commodity cheese. It has to all be from cheesemakers we know, we've seen the farm, just like the places we saw in France. And that was a really tough business decision, because in order to ship cheese around, you need weight to make the costs come down. And if you're having little boxes of special handmade cheese, you don't have weight. So we had to tack that shipping costs on top, and it was a real hardship for retailers. They had to really want it, which took a long time, to build that demand. But in the end, of course, it's worth it. We've never wavered from that.
No, we haven't. But the other thing that we do is that we don't really put on the same margin that most people would put on cheeses when we're distributing them. We put on a smaller margin so people will buy the cheese and get to try it if it's a very expensive cheese, because when you're a small producer, it's much more expensive to make something than if you're a large producer and you have the volume and you can move it in a different way. So a lot of the cheeses that everybody wants to try are the small production cheeses, and they're very expensive. I agree, and they're very expensive to make, because you're trying to have the people that you're working with get a living wage, as well as the people that you're selling to. So I know that that's always been a question about small production food in general.
I just had one tiny thought. Does everyone know where Point Reyes and Bolinas are? Do you all have, can you just, if you go over Golden Gate Bridge, and it's, how do you describe when you're telling people to get there in case someone hasn't been there and now wants to find Point Reyes? You just go up and you can go to San Rafael, Sir Francis Drake, and out to the coast, and you'll get to Point Reyes. It probably would take you not even an hour from San Francisco with no rush hour, in case you want to see this whole region that we're talking about if you haven't gotten to see it yet.
Yeah.
I wonder, how did you acquire your craft? How did you become cheesemakers? One day you were making pancakes. One day you were cooking at Shea, and
You know, the experience in cooking is very similar to cheese making. It might be closer to baking because it's more precise, and but it's production work. You know, what we do to turn out beautiful food is repetitive actions that make the food consistent, and that's what cheese making is all about. So we weren't afraid to make cheese. And we started with the simplest imaginable cheese to make, which is fromage blanc and quark and creme fraiche. Cottage cheese was a little more difficult, but it took us several years to develop the Mount Tam, you know, to have the nerve to go to that next level of working in the aging room.
But the idea behind it was still to represent the milk, not really to do anything that adulterated that milk flavor so much that, you know, it had blueberries in it or something like that. We really wanted to express the different milks that we used. And then there were a few, I don't want to call them mistakes, but happenstances.
Was going to be my next question. What were your biggest mistakes?
Yeah. Well, one of our biggest mistakes actually turned into be a really fortunate thing, and that was where we made a cheese that you're going to taste after this class. And one of the people we were working with had a great idea that they would age another cheese that we worked with, a Stilton from Neil's Yard, and she put it in our aging room. And when she did that, mites, you know, cheese mites. Do you all know about cheese mites?
Cheese mites are good.
Yeah.
It sounds scary, but
yeah.
They grow on the, they live on the rind and they aerate the rind. They puncture it, but they don't get inside. So
but
good aging rooms have mites.
They will munch into
a little bit.
Yeah, if you don't stop them, they'll munch inside of the rind, and you can tell when there's a cheese mite on a rind, and usually they're on natural rinded cheeses because scattered around the cheese will be little bits of what
Like
looks like the
sawdust
rind.
or something, yeah.
Anyway, so Kate went ahead and put one of these cheeses, Stiltons, in our aging room, which is really a bad idea. Because then the mites jumped on a batch of the Mount Tam, and Sue went in there one day and said, "What in the world is going on in here?" And you know, we don't like to waste anything. So Sue brought those cheeses out and she washed them, and her idea was to inoculate it again with the penicillin candidum, which is the white mold, which is that white mold.
It's not a bad idea. It actually was a really good idea.
Well, it wasn't.
We're seeing how the business works.
I think you are. So she washed them and washed it with a brine solution and thought, okay, you know, now I'll re-inoculate it. I'll segregate it from the other cheeses that are aging in the aging room by putting it in this
It was a sweater box. It was a sweater box from Target.
Yeah, not exactly. But it was a food container. We use food grade equipment.
At all times.
At all times. And then she put those in there, but what that did was it created a whole different atmosphere for the cheese. And with every single cheese that you make, there's a different atmosphere that you age it in. There's a different temperature that you make it, and then there's a different way that you age it. It's very complicated, cheese making, and Sue didn't know that at this time when she put it in the Tupperware, whatever it was. And so what happened was, you know, the area that we're in out there, we're sitting right at the base of the bay, of the Tamales Bay, which goes out to the Pacific Ocean. And actually, just as a side note, it's one of the great breeding grounds for great white sharks. But so the flora and the air from the Pacific and the Tamales Bay actually, I don't want to say infected, but it actually landed on the cheese. And it changed the whole culture of the cheese because of the different enzymes and bacteria that were flown in with this flora. And by the washing, it gave them something to eat, gave them a place to really thrive. And what happened was this changed that cheese into a washed rind cheese, which I don't know if you know exactly what that is, but those are usually the pinkish cheeses that you see, and they're usually much more aromatic, because what's happened is when you do wash a cheese, it kind of helps promote decay in the rind, and a new rind will form, and it will turn the rind pinkish. And so what Sue did inadvertently was created a Red Hawk.
Yeah, so I was afraid I was going to throw it out, but Kate, who came from England and seen a lot of funk.
Put the Stilton in the
She put the
walk-in.
Stilton in, and she said, Sue, come over here and taste this. It's the best cheese you've ever made. So that was the beginning of Red Hawk, which is our most complex, and we still use the natural flora to, we salt it to attract that, and so it's really a unique, and it's a very well-regarded cheese.
And delicious. I'm going to leap ahead in their illustrious careers. And the Cowgirls wrote a book, was that 3 years ago or so? This beautiful book, Cowgirl Creamery Cooks, came out. And I'm just going to read a little passage.
But wait a minute, I have to tell you about that picture. That is a crazy organization from France called the Guilde de Fromage. And one of the most well-known, two of the most well-known cheesemongers in the world, Alouette and Bartholomé. Alouette started this, but Roland Bartholomé runs it now, and they dress up in those capes. And
they play pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, they march in
on a like a portable.
On a little like boom box, they'll play pomp and circumstance, and they'll all march in these capes. And Sue and I were in Paris, and they invited us to one of those dinners. And then next thing we know, we're getting hauled down in front of them. And we had to go around this restaurant where it was, and had to serve all these French cheese people.
All of our idols, the
Yeah.
head of the Comté region, the head of the Brie
We had to serve them
Association.
like cheese, and we're supposed to be describing the cheese, and it was crazy.
Quite an honor. Yes, it says the 5,000 members of the Guilde de Fromagers had only recently allowed women to join, and even more recently invited Americans. That night in 2010, the Guild added 6 new Americans to their roll. 4 of the 6 were women. 2 were cowgirls. I do love that paragraph. Coming in and out of France a lot. This is when you were speaking earlier about cooking in France for the Wine Expo. We just had to include that.
Yes, women weren't in the professional kitchens much until the 70s. And then really the idea of a woman-led kitchen and also a non-hierarchical kind of setup, I think really, according to Joyce Goldstein, who wrote about this period, it really made a difference. And of course, again, Chez Panisse was at the head of that movement, but we all benefited from it.
I thought, what if we began to ask questions and you guys keep speaking and telling stories, but why don't we start weaving you guys into it respectfully in the civil society, freedom of speech culture that we're all going to propagate together here, like the bloom on the rind of a cheese, correct?
My question is, do you still make your cheese in the sweater box?
That's a great question. No, we've really advanced. And Peggy and I don't make the cheese anymore, and the people who do have been with us for 12 to 15 years and are amazing leaders in, developing techniques. And we've got a lot of expertise as well from Europe. We're building a new creamery, and so it's a little more controlled in the aging rooms and control over the temperatures in the vat and the room, that kind of thing, which really helps with consistency. So,
but we have separate aging rooms for each cheese.
Yeah.
So that's how we are able to control the environment. Yeah.
Someone wanted to come see your cheese works. Where would they go to find you?
for now, Point Reyes is the best place. Don't come on Monday or Tuesday. We're closed. But in the future, we will have our new creamery open for visitors, and so there'll be Petaluma and Point Reyes.
There was one more.
I just wanted to say one thing, because Peggy and Sue have gone to Chandelos's wonderful cheese shop in Bordeaux. And I learned something at a very, I was embarrassed that I didn't know really about how to cut a cheese, what the crust was for. And I thought maybe I would pass on this little bit of knowledge, which was revelatory to me, is that you always cut a cheese so that there's part of the rind, and so that you're also suggesting the shape of that cheese when you cut it. You taste the rind first to see whether you want to eat it with the cheese. No, you taste the inside. Sorry, I made that wrong. You taste the inside of the cheese first, and then you taste the rind and decide whether you want to eat both. Sometimes the rind is way too strong and it's there for the protection of the cheese, but other times it's really meant to go with the cheese. And I never knew that, and I was, I probably spoiled my taste of different kinds of cheeses because of that lack of knowledge. But it was also amazing in this cheese shop because upstairs where they were selling the cheese, there may have been 20, 25 cheeses. And then he said, "Come on with me," and we walked down into the cellars, and there were hundreds of cheeses aging in these caves down there. And what his job was as an affineur of cheese in France was to go around to all the farmers and get the cheeses when they were young. And he would bring them to his caves, and they would what do you call them? Bring them up like children and know exactly when they needed to be served. And I was just fascinated. You can tell a lot more about Jean.
No, this place is incredible. The shop that Alice is talking about, it was an old monastery, and it's 5 stories. And the store is on the 4th story, and their little house that they lived in was on the 5th story. But like Alice said, you go down this spiral staircase to one level, and it's all these limestone walls, and each level, those 3 levels, they had different temperatures and different humidities, and there's a little concourse that goes down to the river. And what it used to be a monastery, and they would unload the barges down at the river, and they'd roll them up and bring them through these different levels. But each level was used for a different type of cheese. Like the oldest, hardest cheeses were on the 3rd level, like a Comté or a Gruyere, one of those cheeses that is so big. And that required not the coldest temperature, because they were trying to bring it along, and they brush them and then you go down to the very bottom level, and that was where they had the fresh cheeses because it was the coldest. But like Alice was saying, his job as an affineur was to go through, take care of the cheeses as they're aging, decide when they were exactly ready to be served, and they'd bring them upstairs to the shop. And in the most beautiful way, the display case, they'd have these beautiful little baskets with maybe 6 little cheeses in them, and you're not allowed to touch in a French cheese shop. So you'd have to get you'd have to get Pascal to come over and say, I think I'd like that one, and it's like they are picking up jewels, isn't it?
And actually, it brings up a point of how of the careers in cheese in France, because the affineur is one whole level. Jean Delos was doing affinage and fromager, selling cheese in a shop. So that's another career. Then the cheesemaker is another career, and the dairy. But usually they're separate, and there's a lot of education that goes into each one of them. And this is something we're getting to in the United States, where we actually have a credential for a cheesemonger. It's CCP, certified cheese professional, like a sommelier. And when somebody asks about education, we didn't have that when we were learning. There wasn't like a college program or an affinage
major
program.
in cheese at that moment.
You can major in cheese in Wisconsin.
I was looking up all these quotes that you've seen in this little slideshow, and Dennis Miller, the comedian, had one, Washington, D.C. is to lying what Wisconsin is to cheese. That was almost in the show. We have a question right here.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. So earlier you were talking about being a small producer and not being able to struggle with economies of scale. So my question is, how do small producers deal with a large research and development for different types of cheese and developing your SKUs, since that seems like probably a major cost?
That is a major cost, and when people are starting out, they really can't afford to lose too much. So this community of cheesemakers, there are a lot of people that are there to help you. And we have an organization called the American Cheese Society, and we joined that as soon as we started our business. And it's a very giving community, and there are lots of people that we called and talked to several cheesemakers, Mary Keene from Cypress Grove or Jennifer Bice from Redwood Hill. People are always open to helping. It's not really, there is, people do like to win awards, but it's not really a competitive, I would say, for the most part. It's not so competitive. A lot of the cheesemakers are women, and I honestly think that helps in promoting the collaborative nature of wanting to give out information, because most of the people really do think that all boats rise when people do well.
I think we have another question over there.
No, is it on? Yeah. You mentioned a few times that you moved here from somewhere else. I'm wondering where you came from.
Our nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
Gotcha. Yes? No? Was that right? Okay. And what you studied in college, or if you went to school, and how you see that on your transition into cheese world from the kitchen and from elsewhere, how that prepared you for everything that you knew you were getting into and that what you didn't know you were getting into also.
Well, my major was political science, and I did work in restaurants to earn money while in college, so I liked that teamwork in a kitchen and also serving. And politics is a huge part of cheese making. We're dealing with the FDA.
As you might have noticed tonight.
We are very close with our representatives, both in Congress and locally. and also with the University of California Extension, which helps to build this collaboration that Peggy's talking about. We host classes and bring cheesemakers in, and I think that everything I learned in college really prepared me for cheese making.
And I cooked also while I was going to school. And
Peggy was American Studies major.
Yeah, I was American Studies. But what I loved about kitchens, I loved how much there is to learn. And like with cheese making, you never stop learning in a kitchen. And some of the kitchens I worked in were really bad. And so I learned a lot in regards to how I wouldn't want to work. I also worked in offices while I was growing up, and I really loved that collaborative kind of kitchen work. And this was just more of a natural extension of working in a kitchen to moving to cheese, because the whole thing is still working with ingredients and sourcing good ingredients and being able to present them in a way that reflects the ingredient.
I actually had the same question for you, Davia.
I majored in politics and American studies. So bizarre. I wrote my high school career notebook on being the first woman on the Supreme Court or a disc jockey. I couldn't figure out which I wanted to do. But it's always been music and justice and food. And I majored in politics, primarily headed directly to the nation's highest court, and wound up in public radio and oral history and in the food world. It's all of a piece. And I do feel, I agree with what you say, the kitchens are this, you can't learn it's one of the great learning places, and also some of the most profound people connect themselves to the world of food, some of the most generous people with some of the biggest global perspective, and it holds endless fascination for me. And I feel like, I guess one of the things that's important to me is looking for leadership, I think especially at this moment in time. And it's what I said earlier, some people run for elected office, other people elect themselves to lead their communities and feed their communities. So I find myself drawn to telling those stories very much. I hope people take inspiration from them. The other thing I just want to say is I could go on with Kitchen Sisters, but I would say we've learned the most and done our best work out of the most disastrous mistakes, where I thought everything we'd ever stood for was lost. And instead, so just as you're going forth with your businesses and your work, just when you think it's all over, it's probably the moment where it's all going to burst into the positive and be the best thing that ever happened. I wondered what advice you have. We're bearing the lead here. The two of them have been in business together for some 20 years and have one of the most successful cheese companies in the world, and are some of the most highly regarded. I almost put a slide together that showed every award they've won, but it just seemed a little much. But just trust me on that. And at 20 years into the business, you began to have some
advice. I think I think it's good maybe not to know all that's going to happen to you before you start a business. I think the best...
trying not to figure out
exactly. Some of the things we went business called Neil's Yard, we really admired San Francisco. It's to not be afraid to take those opportunities. And because some of them aren't going to work out, that's okay. Because if you can keep hold to your main vision, you'll find a way to get there.
If you ask some people in the U.S., they might. I guess some people in the U.S. might look at this and say, "Oh, that's fancy cheese," and to you too, it's just cheese. And so I was wondering if there's any places you see, either in the U.S. or maybe even abroad, that are kind of like changing their relationship to food, places that are, wanting to go organic or change the way they raise dairy, or, maybe just Instead of just having the standard cheddar, try something adventurous and moldy.
Well, you know, we talked about this in our book about the 3 areas in the U.S. that are really thriving in the artisan and handmade cheese area, and it's they happen to be near college campuses, and they have really good NPR stations. It is Vermont, it is Wisconsin around Madison, and it is right here in the Bay Area. And that energy of a cluster of cheesemakers and dairies is really key, because you can imagine we have friends who are solo out in, we have a friend in Tennessee right now. He said, Sue, I had to buy the cows from the dairy that is next to me because there's no dairies in our area. They're all gone. So now I've learned to make cheese. Now I have to learn how to be a good dairyman. So these are the kind of things that happen if you're just hanging out there by yourself. Right now in our area, we have 80% organic dairies. We have 28 cheesemakers right around you here. When we started, there were 5. So that's pretty quick growth. And then most of these are happening on dairy farms that have passed down from generation to generation. So I think that, hang on to your hairnet. We've got more coming your way.
But yeah, also I have to say that I don't think of it as like either fancy cheese or just cheese. When I think about it, and this sounds really corny, but it's really about the community, because I know the people that grow the grass. I know the people that are milking the cows, and of course I know the people that make the cheese, but I also know the people that sell the cheese. And it's a connection that really is about community and working together to promote good food.
Okay, we're coming towards cheese here, but so recently, oh yeah, okay. So you begin the beginning here.
So recently, Sue and I did sell our company, and we sold it to a European company named Emmy. And I know that there were a lot of people that were really upset with us until we really talked to them about why we did sell and how long we'd been working on how we were going to continue the relationships that we had built with our milk providers and with the people that we work with. Sue and I are both in our 60s, mid-60s. Well, Sue's 64. 63?
We're getting older.
Anyway, like Sue said, we don't make cheese anymore, but we run our business. And we work with...
How many people work now in your business?
About 100, yeah. And we've worked with many of them, I would say a majority of them, for at least 5 years, 7 years, lots of them for over 10 years. And we wanted our business to continue on after Sue and I no longer are working anymore. So we tried all different ways of moving our business, and succession is something, since we had our business acquired, I've had so many cheesemakers ask me about succession, because a lot of them are our age. And we want what we've built to continue on. And it's hard to find, I would say in the United States, it's hard to find companies from the United States that
cheese
companies that are interested in carrying on rather than buy it, build it, burn it, kind of sell it later. So we looked hard and we decided that we would work with a company from Switzerland that's owned by farmers for the most part. The majority of shareholders, over 60%, are farmers, and they're farmers that work with Emmy. And it was not an easy decision. and still I kind of cringe a little when, I'm knowing that we aren't the owners anymore. But I feel still it's been almost a year, and
what is your roles in the company at this point?
We still run. I do exactly the same thing, only we have to do more financial reporting than we did before because it's a corporate structure, and the way that we did our finances before was we were really well informed about what finances we had, how we're moving forward, how our business was doing, because we did lots of reporting. It's just we had to switch over to a different kind of reporting.
You have to remember we're talking to business students here, so they're thinking, wow, you sold your business? How cool.
That's what you were thinking, right? Are there more questions?
Oh, there's one more. And then before you go to cheese, there's an attendance question at the end. So.
One question.
So I've been going to the shop in the Ferry Building for a couple of years now, and I know every single day you have a different grilled cheese. And I just wanted, this very simple question, I just wanted to know what each of your favorite combinations are for the grilled cheese and why.
That is an excellent question.
Truly.
I really love mixing two cheeses and then having fromage blanc as a binder, because it makes it melt really evenly, and it's soft and unctuous, maybe with some caramelized onions on the bread. That would be my favorite. Our cheese, like wagon wheel.
Yeah.
And maybe something a little, like Parmesan-like to bring up the flavor.
Sue's in charge of marketing, can you tell? Every time it's one of our cheeses. But I'll tell you the trick is, it's really important with a grilled cheese that you grate the cheese before you stick it in between the bread. And what Sue's talking about with the fromage blanc is a soft cheese, but it adds substance, but it kind of really melts away. But it suspends the rest of the two different kinds of cheeses, like, say, Comté or Gruyere. I love Comté, so that's my favorite in a grilled cheese. But if you mix it with the fromage blanc, you don't need quite as much Comté. And what happens is it suspends that Comté so that everything melts really evenly. And Sue's right, with grilled onions or onion confit, that's really good.
Something a little sweet, it could be a fig jam or something.
Or like a cherry, like black cherry mostarda or something like that would be really good. But that's a good question.
There was another question up there. A couple of questions.
Shout it out.
Yeah, do you want to stand and ask? Stand and deliver?
You want her? She's going to repeat it. Just 1 second.
Okay. If you could describe yourself with a type of cheese, what cheese would you be and why?
Well, I would definitely be aged for a while, and I would probably be kind of a big cheese, and it would probably be something like Gruyere or Comté.
I think I would be fresh. And, my favorite cheese is really cottage cheese that we make, and it has kind of some tough curds, but creamy goodness all around it.
No, it wouldn't need any tough curd. It'd be all really soft.
We have another question.
So if you're going to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or just a regular market, just picking up groceries, and you pass by the cheese aisle, what's your go-to? I'm out of this. I need to have this in the house. I need to pick this up.
Well, it's interesting. You picked 3 different styles of markets. So we look for a market that has a cheese monger or somebody taking care of the cheese. So that's your first rule. So you can ask a question. And then you go for the category that you're interested in that day, and ask them what's good, and then see what else they have and get a taste of something. And then you start to imagine what you might want.
But you have to have Parmesan, Reggiano.
That's the island cheese, you know, that it holds up and you can, or that's your camping cheese.
That's your everyday. I mean, that's what you need for cooking. So that's a good staple to have, because you can also have it for dessert. You know, if you take if you have a good Parmesan cheese and you just chunk it up and then maybe drizzle some balsamic on it, it's really good as dessert. Or eat it with dates. It's really good.
Who makes American Parmesan? No one well.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Yeah, it is a good opportunity. Yeah. But you know what, Alice? There are substitutes like Igvella's Dry Jack is an aged cheese that is made in a 3-pound round, and it's the rind is olive oil and cocoa powder and black pepper. And actually, during World War II, that we weren't importing any Italian cheeses here for obvious reasons. And a lot of people started using dry jacks as substitutes.
Yeah, they call that the poor man's Parmesan.
All right, well, speaking of cheese, the time has come where, in some orderly stampede,
But before,
please, yes, please join us here. And do you want to just, before people come down, while they can hear, can you?
Before cheese, though, sorry, let's give them a round of applause for thanking them for coming. Thank you. That was really great. Thank you very much.
We brought Mount Tam cheese here tonight, and it's a triple cream with a white mold that's similar to a brie. So you'll get some flavor components that you're familiar with in brie, but it's nothing like it.
Thank you all. Yeah, why don't we come, some people come from that side, some from this side, and, time to cheese down in a gracious way.
Well,